and we're going to be addressing topic number 2, which is on the idea of how we can get more apathetic bystanders to actually participate in calling out more bullies. So, sorry. Not yet. Is it time?
Timer went off, but if you can continue your presentation as you would, that's fine. Just keep wary of the time.
For too long, bullying has thrived under the neglect and ignorance of apathetic bystanders in school systems. Now, in the golden age of technology, we're faced with cyberbullying, giving bullies an online platform to continue their torment and giving bystanders the ability of feeling no responsibility at all. I'm Nikki, this is Selena, this is Nancy, Joanna, and Jessie, and we're here to mitigate those harms by addressing the second topic.
Under the status quo, cyberbullying is a very difficult issue that is almost impossible to eradicate. Currently, there simply isn't enough call-outs nor reports due to a lack of incentive to do so. Our goals for you today is to firstly mitigate the amount of victims being harmed, secondly incentivize more victims and bystanders to report bullying incidents, and thirdly increase the amount of awareness and education around the harms of bullying.
Our problem statement. The main problem associated with this issue is the bystander effect. This effect is the diffusion of responsibility when there is a large presence of others, which discourages an individual from intervening in a difficult situation. This is because many bystanders simply do not care, fear the action of confrontation, and lack the incentives to do so.
Our recommendation is to implement anonymous reports. Firstly, we would have incentives to report, second, education, and third, consequences.
The first pillar of our recommendation in solving our problem statement is providing an anonymous reporting system using student numbers where individuals can report bullying through an online form to counselors. To incentivize this action, we would give a positive reinforcement system of a social credit system. This means we will actually reward the reporter with social credit that can benefit them in school in exchange for certain items. So, for example, they would be able to skip lunch lines or have discounted products on school cafeterias and other aspects of student life.
The second pillar is education. We will implement a monthly workshop in school surrounding the idea of cyberbullying and emphasizing that being apathetic to cyberbullying makes everyone responsible. Counselors will then take the anonymous reports and discuss these issues in the workshops with the student body without identity reveals. By doing this, we achieve making bullies and bystanders more empathetic and making the student body more aware.
Our third pillar is consequence. We would firstly reach out to schools and implement academic consequences such as reports on their transcripts or suspensions. And secondly, we would have community service. Now, instead of typical community service, bullies would instead observe victim support groups and suicide hotlines so that they can see the harm of their actions firsthand and start to reform.
While implementing our recommendations, some risks and challenges that we may encounter include the lack of lobbying to schools, supporting victims to overcome their fear and come out of their comfort zone, and getting people to care about and report incidents of bullying. Despite its flaws, we're certain that the success outweighs any potential harm because of the radical nature of the solution.
At the end of the day, it's crucial to understand that bullying is a radical issue that has been around for far too long, and if we aren't radical in our solution, we cannot eradicate the issue. Thank you for your time, and we're open to any questions.
How do you measure social credit in terms of, I know that's an interesting concept to consider, but how would you value that?
Right, so what we were thinking is that for each report, you get 1 social credit point, and 1 social credit point can be equivalent to perhaps skipping a lunch line, for example. So I think this would ultimately be up to the schools to determine what is fit and what should be necessary for their school, because every school has a different kind of nature and society. So we would give it up to them, but ultimately we want it to be quantitative, so we would know how many times you reported an incident and how honest you are in terms of retribution back to society and back to your school community.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.